Good evening. Happy Thursday to everyone. Welcome back to the Man Cave. It's that time of week again. I always look forward to it. Jeff, how's it going, brother?
It's going.
Is the weather nice down in sunny Florida this week?
It's hot already.
Hot.
Yeah, it's
We had a
92
pretty
today.
nice week. 92. No, I haven't seen 90s yet. I've seen 80s a couple of times this year already, but I haven't seen 90s. I'll see
92
90s
and high
next
pollen.
month. I'll see 90 next month. I usually see my first 90 in April. So it's it's getting there. We stayed in the mid 60s all day today with sun. It's been pretty much like that mid 60s, mid 70s here all week. It's been sunny, nice.
Cool.
So I've been outside a good bit this week, uh, doing some various things. I got another paint project I'm working on outside. I did a little outdoor cooking, but I got another burn ban notice from the town today. We are way under so far this year for our rainfall. We average here where I live about 4 inches. Well, the published average is about 4 inches of rain a month. And we're about this time of year, I should have had 12 inches of rain already, and we've only had a little over 7. And it's just dry, and there's wildfires west of me in the mountains right now. So, in fact, Tanya has to drive through the smoke to that to go to work every day. So it's been dry around here, and I'm gonna keep cooking until somebody steps in my yard and tells me to stop because they can't expect me to know that there's a burn ban in place because the town posted about it on Facebook. You know how that goes.
Just tell them
So
that Facebook algorithm. I didn't get it, man.
yeah, okay. Well,
Don't know what to
anyway,
tell you.
we got a bunch of our regulars popping. And once again, I don't have Tanya with us. We might get Tanya back. I'm not sure if we get Tanya back next week or not. I don't know if NCAA play is playing Thursday night next week or not. I guess we'll find out. But we got some of our regulars here. Welcome aboard, guys. Mike, Boder,
Oh, shit.
Andy Maker's here with us tonight. Smoking Tar Heel. Anthony came on in your place some last week, Jeff.
Cool.
I put the link up there, and Anthony hopped in here and played sidekick for an hour with me last week.
Good deal.
Preach,
Yeah, like I
preach
say,
man,
the
backyard barbecue.
internet went
I
out
don't.
at the cabin, and
Yeah,
one bar on the phone just isn't gonna cut it.
this is one I don't think I've seen before. The Preacher Man Backyard Barbecue,
No.
Northeast Georgia. Welcome. I'm not sure if I've noticed him here before, but welcome. Glad you're with us. Uh, we got, like I said, a lot of our regulars. Ryan's here. Brian, good deal. Well, I'm ready for my bourbon. I have not had bourbon this week yet, so I'm going to. I don't think I have. I may have had a cup. I no, I did have a glass of bourbon one night already, but I'm going to get into this Larceny Barrel Proof tonight. Uh, Larceny's a really nice wheated bourbon, and this barrel proof is one of the smoothest barrel proofs of any. I don't guess you could technically call this bourbon. Maybe you can. Does it say bourbon on the bottle? Uh, I don't know. It says Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I guess it's got enough corn in it, but it's wheated, so it's different than most. But it's really smooth. This particular batch is 125 proof, but it drinks like 100 proof bourbon every day. I don't know if you tried that before, Jeff.
Nope.
It's a really smooth drinker for. It's so smooth, you gotta be careful with it because like I said, it doesn't drink like barrel
Sneaks
proof.
up and beats you over the head.
Yeah. What are you having tonight, Jeff?
I'm having me some heaven hell.
Heaven Hill. So
Heaven hell. I'm in heaven.
cheers, everybody.
Salute.
Oh. So if you guys are having a drink with us tonight, let us know what you're having and where you are. Leave a comment here. and we'll see where everybody is. I'm running a little bit. I think I've got everything back in order. I know you guys last week. I had some technical difficulties. I'm not sure what caused that, but as I was here with Jeff setting up, I had the same problem again. It's something I'm going to have to look into. I'm not sure what's going on. My webcam shuts off, uh, and it won't come back in the browser. I'm, I'm running this StreamYard application. I may have to talk to them about it because the platform's got some updates that have been done to it that I'm not aware. I'm not fully aware of everything, but I can go back to my webcam software and the webcam comes up and works. It just stops working in my browser. So it's something related to either the browser or StreamYard. And I'm not sure what's going on. When I go back to the settings, Jeff, it doesn't show me a camera or a microphone. It's like the StreamYard side's lost that. So I'm gonna have to I might need to inquire to them about that and see if they can help me sort that out because it's a problem. It involves I end up having to reboot to get around it, which doesn't make much sense either. I should be able to restart the browser and have it come back, but that doesn't work. So anyway, hopefully we won't freeze up. But if guys, I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, if my video freezes up while we're doing this, that's going to be the end of the live stream. I'm not going to try to go through everything I have to go through to bring it back. So we'll get cut short tonight if that comes up again. Last week, after I restarted and got everything going again, it stayed on. It didn't give me a problem again. So hopefully that'll be the case this week. All right. So trying to think if yes, there's one other thing. There's one thing I want to talk about before we get started. As you know, next week Jeff and I are doing rub and sauce reviews on the first live stream of the month, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what we're going to be doing next week in case you want to get these, and you'll have them, and you'll know a little bit about them before we start doing our thing with them. I picked the rub and the sauce this month, and the rub that I picked is this Simply Marvelous Barbecue Cherry seasoning. I got this on Amazon. I don't know where else to get it. I went to the Simply Marvelous website today, and that website's totally hosed up. I don't know if it works. It's like none of the image links work, and it looks like the style sheets are messed up on the website if they're using that. The website's just in really bad shape. But this rub, I bought these on Amazon. And the sauce that we're going to do is the Blues Hog Original. And you can also get that on Amazon. But I believe you can buy this at Walmart. I've seen Blues Hog at Walmart, and I think they've got several variations of the Blues Hog, but this one is the original. It's not one of their different flavored ones. And I've chosen these two for a very specific reason. And that reason is that when I first got into barbecue and smoking 13 years ago, or whenever it was that I started really diving into this hobby head first, the forum that I was participating on, this stuff, the Blues Hog and the Simply Marvelous Cherry, were the go-to rub and sauces for most people back then, and all the competition teams seem to be using this stuff as well. All of them were doing their own thing with it. They were using the Blues Hog as a base, and they were adding whatever they felt like adding to it. They were also doing the Simply Marvelous Cherry the same way. They may be adding some stuff to that as well and making it their own in some way. But these two things were huge. Most of the people that are out there now that are making their rubs, like Matt Pittman at Meat Church and people like Killer Hogs Barbecue and all these other people, they were using these same sauces and rubs before they started their own line. Because I've read multiple instances of where those guys were all using this stuff. I've used these in the past. Jeff's already done a little cooking with this batch of this, and you hadn't had either one of these before, had you, Jeff?
Yeah, well, I've had the hog sauce. I
Right,
got I got 5 different ones of their hog sauce when I was at the Ace Hardware show. So
right,
I have used that.
okay,
Their chipotle is good, and their
right. The raspberry one's good too.
raspberry, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I think Jeff and I don't know what all Jeff's got in mind, but I know both of us are going to do ribs with
Yep.
this sauce for next week. I'm going to do some ribs, and he's going to do some ribs, where we've kind of got a level playing field to talk about these two, and we'll go from there. So I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to give you a heads up on that in case you decide that you want to get some of this.
Play along.
Yeah, I would recommend either one of these uh, sauces or rubs in the terms of commercial sauces and rubs. These are two excellent choices. They're not
Yeah, I was
something
real
I would.
impressed with the rub.
Yeah, I've had both of these before, and that's not always going to be the case. When we pick sauces and rubs for this, it may or may not be something we've ever had in the past. It may be something new. Uh, so there's that. So let's see what Brother Jeff got into this week. It looks like Jeff has a
Yeah.
prime rib.
Yeah, this is actually last week. Well, it was supposed to be presented last week, but I couldn't get on. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
my Christmas time. Publix has got the prime rib on or standing rib roast on sales. So I usually pick up a couple, and that was the second one that I had. So I seasoned this guy up with Wayne's SPG, which is nothing more than salt, pepper, garlic. I like to season mine the day before, just let it sit out in the refrigerator, air drying, air soaking it up, whatever you want to
yeah.
call it,
Give it a dry
and
brine.
just let her rip for about 24 hours. So then I got my Huntsman all set up. Got it running almost 500 degrees, and I put a sear on that guy. And then, which you can see that nice dark spot on it, I turned it over, flipped it, around and around to get it seared nicely. And
So
then
you were
I,
moving it. You had it over the direct coals to do that.
yep, had it over direct coals to do that. And then I moved over to the non-direct side to leave it up and try to cool the Huntsman down to 300. And
Right.
it did cool down to 300. You gotta play with it a little bit. It's just like Cubano. It
Yeah.
takes a little bit. I mean, you could take it off and allow it to do it on its own, but
I
you
cheat.
can nurse it.
Uh,
You
I
can nurse it.
cheat. Uh, I like to do this as well. I don't put mine over the direct coals. I just like to go in a 550 degree oven for 15 or 20 minutes. That does the job for me.
Oh yeah.
But when I do this, I do two grills. I got one grill running hot and another one running slow where I can go. I guess that's one of the blessings of having more than one, is being able
Yeah.
to do that. How long
Well,
did it
I've
take
always
you
been
to
able to
get
do
to
it on one.
500? How long did it take you to get down?
It took me about 25 minutes to get down from
Okay,
500 to 300 where it
that's
would
not
hold it.
that's not bad. That's not bad at all. There's
No.
another trick you could probably employ to make it even quicker. You could, if you had one of those fireplace shovels that you could reach in there and scoop some of that hot coal out, it'd
Yep.
probably cool down even quicker.
Yep.
That might be a possibility. So anyway,
So anyway, it's continuing, cooking right along uh, on the Huntsman. Go ahead and go to the next picture. I don't remember what the order of these things are. Okay, the boom, 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 boom. Let's see here. Hmm. I'm confused what that one is. I know it's on foil, but I don't really know why. I think I put it on there to
it looks to me
catch all
like
the
you.
catch all the juices that were running around.
It looks to me like you might have set up to create a heat shield there,
Yeah, and catch the
because
juices.
you've got some of the foil coming over the other half of the grill. there was a
Yep.
lot of coal over there, and you may have been tempering the heat with that. That's what I would have done.
Yep.
Set up an additional heat deflector there.
So
The
anyway, I let that run until it was 125 internal, and then
Right,
I pulled it off and
it looks
took it
delicious.
in and let it rest. And I think the next picture you'll see it cut, maybe. Nope. Now, second part of my meals is my corn on the cob. And guys, if you haven't tried making corn on the cob this way, I really implore you to give it a shot and tell me what you think. What I do is I peel back the shuck, and then I uh, clean out all the silk. I take a brush and I brush it down with Duke's mayonnaise because Duke's is the only kind of mayonnaise there is, isn't there?
I didn't know there was
Yeah,
more than one.
yeah, I didn't think so either. Oh, mosquito just went in front of me.
I just
So I
had to
brush it
buy
down.
new. I ran out of
Right.
that this week and had to buy more.
Aldi sells that stuff $2 cheaper in Publix
I'll have to check that then because
for the
it was
larger bottle.
expensive. It's
Yeah,
getting
it's
expensive
four
anyway.
sixty nine at Aldi and 6.49 at Publix. So anyway, so I brush it down with the Duke's mayo, and then I season it up with the Layton's Cubano, and then I
Yeah,
pull the husk back over top of it and wrap it back up in foil.
I
Gotta
guess these
love Layton's
pictures might have
Cubano.
been out of order.
Yeah, probably. No
Anyway,
biggie. And maybe I got another one out of more because they go on they go on the grill in the aluminum foil, and
yeah,
when the kernels feel soft to the touch, take it out of the aluminum foil. Take the man, I don't want to say that correctly. Take the yeah, shucks off. I
yeah.
swear, guys, I just started drinking. I swear.
Jeff
Take the
started
shuck.
early today, I think.
No, I didn't. Take the shucks off and let it char. Get a nice Mexican street corn to it,
Yeah,
and that comes out. Oh man, it is just super tasty. So you really got to try it. And then there's the prime rib on the plate, and the butcher who separated this prime rib from the bone needs to go back to butchering school because
looks like he
see
took a
how.
good bit of meat with him.
Oh man, I tell you what, those ribs had a good inch of meat on them, John.
Right.
And I'm going, good Lord, dude, what did you
Yeah.
do to me?
They do that at Publix with a bandsaw though, Jeff. And it's
I've
gonna
never had
yeah.
one that bad. I mean, that
I
was
haven't
like
either, but they do it at
somebody just
Publix
cut a
with a
straight line.
bandsaw.
Rather,
They've got this machine that puts that stretchy twine on it.
yep.
You know that they fasten it back on there. What I wonder if they'd sell you the piece without giving you the bone back. I wonder if they could just cut the bone off and not make me pay for the bone.
That'd be an interesting concept. Yeah, hey, would
They
you take the
probably won't.
bone off and then reweigh it and give it to me?
Yeah, I don't. I'd rather have mine boneless, unless I need a presentation value of having a bone. But that presentation value doesn't work here because the bone's cut off, and it's
I,
just held
I
back
would
on
rather,
the
in
line.
my opinion, I'd either rather take the bone off or leave the bone on and don't even bother cutting it. I'll take care of it myself
Right. Yeah.
because it's nothing to cut through the thing. I mean, just hitting in between the.
Was this a picture you meant to put in here?
Yep, that's a picture I meant to put in there. As you can
Okay.
see, I don't know. Can you make that any bigger?
No, because it's vertical.
Okay. All right. So anyway, you can see it went to 500 degrees real quick. Hang on, I'm going to bring it up on my phone so I can
Well,
give
it's
you.
showing for those of you that can't see these numbers down across the bottom. That's a 7 minute long graph
Yep.
to to go from whatever he did to 500 degrees. So
That's when I dump my chimney. See, this is
mhm,
what a lot of people on the Huntsman group have a problem with. They say they can't get their Huntsman to up to temp. Well,
right,
this guy here, the way I start mine is I got a little bed of coals, whatever's left over from the previous cook, put a
yeah,
chimney full right on top. I rake those all up, put a chimney full right on top of that, light the chimney,
You're right.
When it's igniting from below, it's igniting from above. I dump that chimney out when it's fully engulfed, and I don't think people uh, understand the concept of fully engulf. A lot of people think, "Oh, I've got flames shooting out the top of my chimney, so it's
No,
ready."
you've got
No,
10 minutes to go when that starts
it's
happening.
not even close to ready. Wait
Yeah,
till it ashes over. If you
right,
do that, you dump that, and you're going to see right there. I'm at 420 degrees right off
right.
the get go. 7 minutes later, I'm at 503.
Yeah. There's a
I
little bit
mean,
of a learning curve. Anytime you get a new grill, I'm going to take this graph down, Jeff, and we'll talk
yeah,
about that. Uh, Anytime you get a new grill, there's going to be a learning curve to learning the personality of that grill. And
absolutely.
this one has a learning curve for anybody that's got Kamado experience, like most of us do. Going to this grill, there's a bit of a learning curve because this grill requires more fuel than a Kamado grill. There's no doubt about that.
For initial
And
startup, yes.
yeah, and this grill takes a little more charcoal than you might think if you're Kamado experienced to get it that hot. And there's a lot of people well, I'm not going to say a lot of people. The noisiest complaints that we've seen so far about the Huntsman is how long it takes it to get up to temperature. And most of the people that are trying,
Oh, please
most
don't go
people,
away.
what's the
You,
matter?
you just left. You just blanked out there, and I'm going, oh, please don't freeze
Oh,
up.
did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the big
Hopefully
thing
we
with it
won't.
is it takes more fuel on the front end, but you get it back on the back end because
Mhm.
and that's what a lot of people don't understand is, oh man, I had to put so much fuel in it to get it to go. But you got that fuel at the back end that's all left over. So who cares?
Right.
It's not really, I don't really think it uses much more fuel than my Kamado Joe. It just uses more on the front end to get that temperature where you want it. You get it on the back end.
Well, here's the other thing. Most of the time, when people want a hot temperature like this, they're looking to do direct grilling.
Yep.
They're looking to do that, and I I can't understand, or I can understand it. I guess what I can't do is figure out a way to explain to people where they take it to heart that temperature reading that you have there at the dome thermometer or on the electronic probe is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you're going to go direct grilling. If you're
Yep.
going to grill steaks, burgers, or whatever over direct coals, the temperature reading's irrelevant. It does not matter.
Yep.
Just
And that's what I
if
tried
you,
to get across that
yeah,
one individual that we were dealing with, and I showed him.
mm,
I did an IR of the grate. My grate was at 981 degrees,
yeah. If
but I was
you've
only at
got
450 on the dome. I
if you've
mean,
got a bed of
981, that
hot
could do
coals,
anything.
if your coals are ashed over and glowing red, you're where you need to be. It doesn't matter
Yep.
what the thermometer says.
Nope.
Don't don't get hung up on the dome temperature for direct grilling. Uh, in fact, when I'm direct grilling, I don't even engage the spider or the venom on
No.
mine.
Neither do
I
I.
don't know what the temperature is other than what the dome analog gauge reads, but that's the other thing I really love about the Huntsman. I've got the venom there when I need a controller, and if I don't need a controller, I just don't turn it on. And
And
I
what's
use my
nice about
chimney.
that is it's not like, the fireboard or something where you got to take the thing half apart in order to
Right.
not use the controller. You just
Yeah,
open
it's
up the
it's
two vents
always
and
there.
it's like a regular Kamado.
Yeah, it's good. And like I
The only
said,
time I use the
sometimes
venom for high heat grilling is sometimes I may use it when I'm starting my chimney to get a little bit more air draft going through there.
right.
I, the jury is out as to whether or not it decreases the time to get to temp. It might, but I think
Well,
it's minimal at best.
once again, there's no such when you're going that high. There's not really any such thing as getting to temp.
Yeah.
It's an irrelevant thing, and if you can get that part of it out of your head, it's ready to go as soon as the coals are ashed over. And that's also why it's more important to leave that coal in the chimney until it's white on top.
Yep.
You're going to see if you're using lump or even if you're using briquettes, you're going to see flames coming out of the
Yep.
top of that chimney, but those briquettes on top are still going to be black, or that lump's still going to be black. You need it to be white and ashed over. And yes, it's going to settle some during that process because the
Yeah,
lump
it'll
there's
probably
yeah,
settle down a good 2 inches. I mean, if you got a full
yeah.
chimney, it will probably settle down at least 2 inches when you are
So
fully engaged.
what you want to do in that case is if you have if you feel like you're not going to have enough charcoal to do whatever you want to do, put some unburned charcoal in the bottom of your grill and dump this chimney of fully engulfed charcoal on top of it.
Mhm.
And that the charcoal underneath it will catch up as you go, but don't put it in there and then put fresh coal on top of it, because that'll kill your high heat cooking surface.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that we'll have to. It just takes a little getting used to it. It takes a little understanding. It's easier for me to understand it because I started out on a Weber kettle where we didn't have there were no temperature control. There was a thermometer on that kettle, but I knew it was pretty useless. It was just a vague reference because it depended on a lot of factors as to what that thermometer was going to read.
Yep.
It wasn't very useful for anything other than knowing if you were hot or cold, which is
Yeah.
it's one of the things I keep saying. There's three temperatures or four temperatures involved in barbecue and grilling. There's low and slow, there's hot, there's really hot, and then there's extremely hot. And
Mhm.
those are the four temperatures I cook with.
And I can cook anything at all four of those temperatures and get great results. I don't
So
have to go
three
low and slow all the time. I can do
yeah,
whatever I want.
300 or below for me is low and slow.
Yep.
220, I don't like to be below 200. So 200 to 300 is low and slow. 350 is hot. 450 is really hot. 550 is extremely hot. And those are the numbers I work at. There's not a whole lot that I do that's not happening at, besides low and slow, there's not much I do that's not happening at either 350, 450, or 550.
Yep.
Those, I'm not
Totally
cooking
agree.
at three. I'm not cooking at 375. I'm not cooking at 425. I'm not cooking at
But
475.
the only time that I try to hit those type of numbers is if I'm baking in it. And the
Yeah,
recipe specifically calls for bacon at 425, bacon at
right.
370. Then I'll try to get real close to those numbers.
Well, what I do is if I've got a recipe that says something like 425, I'll get my grill to 450, and then I'll put whatever I'm putting in there and let it fall, because it's going to drop when you put
Oh yeah,
something cold in there, and it'll be fine. It's it's one of these things. It's way too easy to overthink what you're doing.
absolutely.
So
That's why
yeah,
I keep telling everybody, practice the KISS principle. You're going to be so
yeah.
much happier. Just keep it simple. We won't worry about the last S.
Overthinking it's what gets you in trouble all the
Yep,
time. So
all the time.
all right, I'll show you guys what I did this week. We had a talk a while back about signature dishes, and before that episode was finished, I decided that I'm going to have three signature dishes. I'm going to have a breakfast, a sandwich, and then a dinner meal. So I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this sandwich thing based on sandwiches that I like, and I really like grilled cheese sandwiches. A grilled cheese can be something amazing if you put your mind to it. And I really
Mhm.
like the Cubano. So I started playing today with a man cave version of a Cubano. And it's a little different than a traditional one. So we'll have a look at what I did. The first thing I wanted to do this week was make some homemade mustard that had some kick to it. And so here are the ingredients I started out with. I wanted to make a beer mustard, so I had some Guinness here, so that's what I used. Uh, we start out, and I'm going to give you the quantities of these ingredients that I used after we see these pictures. I used powdered mustard, prepared horseradish, and whole brown mustard seeds. Also, what you don't see here is I put a little bit of salt in it, not a whole lot. So I took these ingredients. I got one of my little small stainless steel mixing bowls, and I think we're starting out here with a half a cup of this ground mustard. And then I've got about a half a cup or so of this prepared horseradish, about a tablespoon of the whole brown mustard seeds, and uh, this is about a third of a cup of Guinness. And I ended up adding more, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. So I just took my whisk and whisked all that together. Now, this is very, very, very spicy mustard. You can probably tell if you've ever used any of these ingredients that I just showed you, you know that this guy's going to have some kick, and it does. And also, this needs to be made a minimum of 24 hours before you're ready to use it because there's some flavor settling that needs to happen here with the horseradish. This does not taste good at all in this picture right here. It's very, very sharp and very, very
Pungent.
horseradish forward. Yes, pungent. So what I did here when I got to this point is I just put this in a mason jar and I stuck it in the refrigerator. And this was about noonish yesterday, I guess, when I made this. So this morning I took it back out of the refrigerator and it was really thick. It was a lot thicker than I wanted it to be for a mustard. So I added another 2 tablespoons of Guinness beer and mixed it in until I thought I liked the consistency that we had. I wanted it more along the lines of a typical mustard texture. And what I had was more of a paste than a typical mustard sauce. So I thinned it out with a little extra Guinness. And this should be the recipe I used. So, yeah, half a cup of mustard, a third of a cup of beer with the note more to adjust the thickness to your taste. The half a cup of horseradish. And you can use more or less brown mustard. In fact, you could leave the brown mustard out if you wanted because it's not really contributing a whole lot to this flavor, in my opinion, other than the appearance of the mustard seed in there. You could even add more if you want to. Uh, I didn't. I decided not to put any black pepper in it. I just put a little bit of salt in it. So
John, did you toast those mustard seeds before you used them?
no, I typically don't do that with mustard. Mustard's one of the few that I find that's not really useful, especially if you're gonna.
Really?
I yeah, I've not.
I
I've
think it
not
brings out
really.
some of the oils and makes it a
Well,
little bit more mustard
I've done
tasting.
it in the past, and I can't really tell a difference with it. I do toast a lot of my spices before I use them, but I've just never really I've seen the difference with mustard. Maybe I'll try it next time. I'm going to make another mustard, another whole grain mustard, and with that, I will soak the seeds instead of
Hmm.
toasting them. So we'll see what. Maybe I'll try it both ways. So today I decided to make my sandwich. And I wanted to use this mustard on the sandwich, but I'm going to mix the mustard with a little mayo regardless. That was the game plan here. I used about equal parts of that mustard and mayo to make kind of a little aioli, or if you want to call this an aioli. It's a spicy, this is more of a spicy mayo than a typical aioli. So I bought this Italian loaf at the grocery store yesterday. It's a really nice looking loaf. In my opinion, this should have been in their oven a little longer to get a little browner on the outside, but that's just my taste. I sliced a couple of sandwich pieces out of the middle of this loaf, and then I smeared on some of my spicy mayo on both slices of the bread. Black Forest ham. I layered on some Black Forest ham, and then I layered on some pulled pork. The traditional Cuban is going to have sliced pork on it. It's not going to have pulled pork, but I have an abundance of pulled pork here at the man cave. Believe that or not. I know you might find that hard to believe, but I've got pulled pork in the freezer here. So I took that pulled pork, I put it in a sous vide bath. So that pulled pork right here is hot going on. I think it's a good idea to have that ingredient hot. Now I'll show you why here in a minute. So after that, of course, we got to have some Swiss cheese. And finally, you got to have some dill pickle in every bite. So that's the basic ingredients that go on a Cuban. But a real Cuban sandwich is a panini that's going in a press rather than a grilled sandwich like we're doing here, and it would use sliced pork instead of pulled pork. So I slap that sandwich together, and then we go outside to the griddle. And I got my griddle pretty hot. That griddle's probably running about 400 degrees on the surface, 425 maybe. A little butter and a little olive oil on the griddle. I put a nice little pool of that there and then laid the sandwich in that. And I probably gave it 90 seconds or so before I flipped it. And I've got a beautiful crust on that side. That crust was perfect. And when I lifted the sandwich off, I didn't just flip it here. I lifted it off and put down another little bit of butter and a little bit of olive oil for the other half of the sandwich. I left it on there for maybe another 90 seconds. And while it was on there, during those 90 seconds, I also had my dome over it, which you're going to see in a minute, which helps that cheese melt. So once this sandwich, because of how thick this sandwich is, you've got to do a little different process because you can't leave it on the griddle long enough to heat it all the way through and melt all that cheese, or you'll burn the bread. So what I did here, I've got this little accessory for my griddle. This is a Cuisinart accessory. It's a little grill that sits up off the surface. So I set my sandwich on the grill, on that grill piece, to elevate it up off the griddle, and then put my dome over the top of that and gave it 5 more minutes over the hot griddle with it running under there. And that finished melting up my cheese to make a really, really nice sandwich. And here's a cross section of that sandwich. This was absolutely delicious. This is going to be the beginning of what I will call my signature sandwich. I've got to make some changes to this. I'm not completely happy with everything about it, but this was a really good sandwich. This is definitely a sandwich that I'm not ashamed of in any way, but I'm going to work on a couple of other things. What do you think about that sandwich, Jeff?
That's a good looking sandwich. I see some different possibilities there. Like you could take, you know how I like doing the pulled ham. Use the pulled ham rather than the Black Forest ham and the
Right.
pork,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and then I would have
Oh,
placed.
man, stop right there. Stop. That's a fantastic idea, Jeff. And in
Mhm.
fact, I was just telling Tanya the other day, we went to Hardee's and I had one of those hot ham and cheeses that I haven't had in years.
Mhm.
So
And
I could
then
I
what I would
could
do is
back
I would
this
get
up.
some.
Yeah.
I'd
Pulled
get some of
ham.
those Clausen garlic dills slices.
Yeah.
Put that puppy on there. Mm.
I'm not sure about how well are pickles going to do on ham and cheese. I guess it would be good.
It's gonna do just ducky.
Okay, well, how about banana peppers?
That would work too. I love banana peppers. They're
Uh,
nice and sweet.
so I might rethink this particular idea as just a grilled ham and cheese. So pulled ham. I'm going to have to buy what what ham did you use when you made pulled ham?
I went to Publix and got a small bone-in ham that was already smoked, and then just put it back on the smoker until it had an internal temperature of 165. Put a glaze on it, wrapped it up, let it go to 205, shredded it, came out great.
Okay, that's something I'm going to have to think about because as good
I
as
think
this
that would be a
was,
fantastic combination.
I'm liking the idea of a grilled ham and cheese. Where this sandwich fell short for me today is I feel like it needed some more sauce on it somewhere. I don't know. It might have been good with a little barbecue sauce drizzled over the pulled pork.
Well, you know what I also would have done on that, John, is I, after you put your mayonnaise on your bread, I think I would have thrown a little bit of Cubano on there.
The rub. You know,
Yeah.
I thought about shaking some rub on the pulled pork too, and I didn't do it. But this sandwich, honestly, I think actually I'm going to do this one again before I go to the ham and cheese, because I think taking that spicy mayo off and just replacing that with barbecue sauce would be the ticket, be a better solution here. I'll put some barbecue sauce on both sides of the bread, or both of the insides of the bread, and put some barbecue sauce with that pulled pork, and I think it'll give that sandwich the extra maybe moisture that it needs. The sandwich was pretty moist to begin with because that pulled pork I have, when I reheat that pulled pork in a sous vide bath, it's just as moist and juicy as it is almost when I pull it. It's uh, you know how that goes. You're doing the same
Yep.
things. Uh, but this sandwich, this sandwich was fantastic. That bread, I wish I had made a little video clip because that crust, the crust on this bread is so firm that when you could take a knife and scrape across the top of it, and hear it rattle. It's a very firm crunch on that crust here on that Italian bread.
The only other bread that would have made that even better is the pan de
Ciabatta,
cristal. No, pan de
maybe
cristal.
that would have
I
soaked
loved
up
it.
all my. That would have got all my sauce down in it though. That would have.
Yeah,
I don't know.
all those little nooks and crannies would have filled up
That's not my
nicely.
favorite. That's not my favorite sandwich bread, but it might be good.
Ah, that'd be
This
excellent.
uh this one came out extremely well. I was very happy with it. But now that I've got two new ideas, I'm going to have to redo this one, the barbecue route, and then I'm going to have to just work with the hot ham with the grilled ham and cheese
Yep.
idea. But this
Both
uh
excellent sandwiches.
but this bread, the combination of olive oil and butter together
Hmm.
for that grilling, this is the first time I've tried that. I usually use either butter or I'll just smear mayo on the
Yeah.
outside of the bread, but I think after doing the butter and olive oil for this, that's going to be I'm going to stick with that for a while because
That's what I
I
use
was
for my grilled cheese when I'm doing out on the grill. If I'm doing them in the
yeah,
house, it'll be butter. But if I'm doing that on the grill, uh, I'll, on the griddle, I'll put the butter and olive oil. It keeps the butter from browning too much.
right. Yep. So it was very good. Let's see here. More of your sauce on the pulled pork. Yeah, God, I'm in agreement there. I needed a little extra moisture inside the sandwich on this one, and I just don't know what the perfect solution for that is going to be at that point. Let me get back down through here and see if I've missed anything else. Tom says the sandwich looks tasty. Thank you, sir. It very was. It was extremely. Uh, Anthony, I think I bought that. I may have bought that on Amazon. It's
I
a
think Academy
Cuisinart.
Sports has it. Has
It's a
the
Cuisinart product.
has the Blackstone one, but I don't
Yeah,
think the Blackstone one is quite as high as that one.
the Blackstone one doesn't have the round grill piece. Blackstone makes a griddle riser, but it's rectangular and it slides to open wider and shorter, and it'll fit on one edge of your griddle.
Yeah, but
But
he's talking
I
about the
think
dome itself.
the dome, yeah, but
Yeah.
The Cuisinart dome I got, that dome and that grill that it was sitting on came together. That was one package. So
So if you have a griddle, you really need to have a dome. You,
yeah, I like to use the dome when I'm cooking things, and also a lot of times if I'm going to dome something, I've got my water bottle out there. I'll squirt a little
yeah,
water under it as well.
get that
Toss
steam.
the dome on where it creates a steam environment. I didn't do that for this sandwich, but that's another cool thing to do with that. So
That's how I usually do my fried eggs on the griddle, rather
right,
than flipping them. Just throw a little water on there, put the dome on, and it finishes the top off. Gets the weight all nice.
Greek yogurt and turmeric marinated chicken.
That's good.
I've never tried that before, but I bet that is good.
Gregory, how long did you marinate your chicken in that marinade? Yeah, that's right.
Somebody's,
Degas is down there in New Orleans at the
yeah, at the
barbecue expo.
HPV,
Yep.
right? Nice. Let's see. What else have we got? I bought a Joe Jr. if we go out of power. Joe Jr. is nice to have.
That's Miss Fran up there in British Columbia.
Yep. Yes, I do still cook on my
Yep.
Cubano Joe, but here's the deal. I think I've mentioned this here before. When I brought the Huntsman in here, I made a kind of a little promise to myself that most of the cooking that I'm going to do for a 6 month period is going to be on that grill because uh, one of the first of all, that grill was provided to me by Spider Grills. The gentleman that designed this grill, I've known for a while because he used to do some stuff for Cubano Joe that Jeff and I were involved with also. So uh, he originally I turned it down. Originally I didn't want it, but then I decided, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot.
I had to
And I
twist his
decided,
arm.
well, it's one of these things where I'm at the point you guys all know that I'm not making a lot of video content anymore, and I didn't want to take this grill and not promise to make some video content because that's normally what I do. And I told him that, and he says I don't care if you make any video content. He says I just really want your opinion on the grill and how well it performs and whatnot. So I did it. I took it, and I'm giving him that. I've done some social media. I've posted about this grill. I made a video as well, but I wanted, in order for me to really get to know a grill, I have to cook on it, and I need to cook on it a lot. You can't you can't know a grill after you've only cooked on it 2 or 3 times or 4 times. So I'm trying to cook everything I can. Right now, my Kamado Joes, my two Joes out here are backup grills. Uh, I haven't cooked on either one of them, or for anything that I've done here. And since I got I don't think I've cooked anything on the Kamado Joe for the live stream since
The
I
only thing
got the
I've cooked on
Huntsman.
my Kamado is the connected using the wok.
Right. But
And if I had a ring for the wok for the Huntsman, I would have used it.
what I'm hoping to be able to tell you, what I'm hoping to be able to tell you sooner rather than later, is that I like this grill as well as I like Kamado Joe. That's what I'm hoping to be able to tell you.
I think you
And
will because I've got over 100 cooks on mine, John, and uh, it's nice. I mean, there's no getting around it. It's nice. It
mhm,
is all heavy duty. Everything has been thought out. When you get the accessories, yeah. To give you a perfect example of how well things are thought out on this grill, I got the side shelves for the Huntsman, and it's got these
right,
stainless steel baskets to hang your utensils and put some things in, and they screw into the side of the shelf. Well, Huntsman or Spider Grills went out of the way and they put the mounting brackets on all three sides of the shelf so that you could decide where you wanted to put that thing. You weren't
right,
locked into, oh, it's got to go in the front, it's got to go on the side, it's got to go on the back. You can put it wherever you want. And that's what I really like about the whole Huntsman thing is everything that they have done. It hasn't been just, oh, let's see if we can do this. It has been well thought out. It's it's durable. Everything is heavy duty about that grill. There is not a single
right.
thing other than the ash basket being aluminum, which is no real biggie. That's probably the cheapest piece on the grill.
The hot ham and cheese runs in my family here, Jeff. You see that?
Yep.
So yeah, the there's it's hard to. I've been asked multiple times to compare this grill to a Kamado, And I don't like doing that because
No,
it's not a Cubano. Uh, it has some similar characteristics to a Cubano, but what I am able to say is this grill has some features that I like far better than a Cubano. And the Cubano so far doesn't have any features that I like far better than this. The Cubano, the main advantage the Cubano has to the Huntsman that I can see so far is I think the Cubano is probably capable of cooking at temperatures north of. I mean, it's easier and probably safer and better at 600 to 750 degrees in a Cubano than it
yeah.
is on the Huntsman. Uh, the Huntsman's not going to thrive in that temperature space very often, or as well as the Cubano does. But once again, there's only one thing that I cook in that temperature range, and that's pizza. And most of the pizzas that I cook do just fine at 5 and 550.
But
So,
John, with the way that this grill is set up, I think you can get those 800-degree temperatures
well,
at great level and
a
do
great
those type
level,
of
yeah.
pizzas.
I think we'll struggle to not burn the crust on a pizza at that temperature range on this grill. But I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know that I'm ever going to try it. Uh, it's one of these
I know it
situations
bakes
where,
good. I baked that apple pie, that we had
yeah,
on the live stream, and that came out absolutely perfect. There was no burned bottom. It was an absolute perfect pie.
well, maybe I'll make a pizza on it. Uh,
I think you're going to
the,
do. Initial thought is, I would think that this would do a pizza better only because you have that metal dome to
mhm.
refract the heat back down on that pizza a little bit better, I think,
Well,
as opposed to
what I
that
would
high
do,
dome on the the ceramic.
what I would do to cook a pizza on the Huntsman is I would use my Kamado Joe heat deflectors. I
Hmm.
would use my spacers and then a Kamado Joe pizza stone up at the top
Right.
grate level. And underneath that, I'm going to use charcoal in a ring around the outer edge
Yep. Totally agree.
where it's open in the middle. And I'm going to see. The question I have about that is, can I get enough charcoal in there without having it directly under the stones to
I
get to
think you're
that
going to be able to.
temperature?
You're going to have a little on the edge of the stone, which is okay because you do want to
Yeah,
get that stone heated up nicely. But I agree with you having that on that outside ring where you have that heat radiating up and hitting that dome and then bouncing back down on that pizza.
yeah.
I think it's going to do a fantastic job. I could be wrong, but
No, it might
that's my
work,
initial thought.
but pizza for me, cooking pizzas. Most of the pizzas that I really like are in the 500 to 550 degree space, and
Yep, great.
that's just a good temperature for cooking pizzas as long as your stone's not running 600 or 650.
Hmm.
So Detroit pizza's like 5 to 550. Uh,
Yep.
I know without a doubt I can cook a Chicago deep dish in that thing at
Yep.
450, no problem. And
I think you can cook a Detroit deep dish in it, but no problem.
yeah, but that's a quick cook though. That's a 15-minute cook,
Mhm.
and so we'll see.
But anyway, to answer his question, I I think you have to look at durability. They're both very durable. I mean, that's it's carbon steel. It's not going to rust out as long as you take care of it.
Right?
Um, you don't have to worry about the possible cracks that you could get with the Kamado Joe. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to badmouth Kamado Joe. I love my Kamado Joes. Uh, but if I was starting out and I was looking at the price range of, you look at what you can get for the Huntsman versus equal size Kamado, it's what, about $700 difference, John? Go with the Classic 2
I
versus
haven't looked at the
the
numbers.
Huntsman.
All I know is the base price on the Huntsman is about the same price as the base price on the Classic Joe One.
Yep.
they're both, and the Classic Joe 1 comes with the divide and conquer, so you don't have to add, when you add the next level cooking system to the Huntsman, you're spending more than you would for the base model Cubano Joe.
Yep.
So, and the Huntsman, the Cubano Joe also comes with a carton of side shelves. The side shelves are an add-on. So, a similarly configured Huntsman compared to the base model Cubano Joe is going to
It's
cost
going to be more
more.
expensive.
Right.
Yep.
So, but the portability of the Huntsman's is great. I wouldn't have any trouble. It is heavy. I don't remember what the weight on that thing is, but it's heavy. But it's not heavy like Kamado heavy,
It's
and
150.
and you don't have to worry. You can move that thing around without having to worry about breaking anything.
Yep.
So, and Scott's hit on a point here that I like. Scott, I hear you, but I have given up on singing that song because it's hard to
Some people just don't want to hear it.
right. I the oven is just the tool. This sandwich I made, I didn't cook it on any grill, and yeah, you could do this sandwich in a skillet on your stovetop. You don't have to take it outside and cook it on an outdoor griddle either. Uh, I just like cooking outside, and that's one of the hardest things I've never really come up with a good way to explain to people. It doesn't matter what grill I'm cooking on. If you've got a grill, you can do what I did on your grill if you know your grill well enough. And everybody, that's the point I'm making here today about spending all of my time right now cooking on the Huntsman, because I'm learning that grill. I want to make sure I am the master of that grill, and that grill's not going to whip me. I'm not. I am the last person on the planet you'll ever hear blame a failed cook on the grill. It's never going to be the grill's fault, no matter what grill it is. If I blow up a cook, it's because I did something wrong. It's not the grill's fault. It's not because the grill's not good enough. It's because the cook's not good enough. And
Or the protein's not good enough.
well,
you could have a perfect cook like that prime rib that I
yes,
had, and the
I
thing was
know.
tougher and tough.
Yeah, but once again, you and I know when that happens that it's bad meat. The how tough the meat is. If the meat's tougher than you like it, and you cooked it to the parameters that you normally cook it to, it's the meat. That's where the variable is.
Yep.
But a lot of people may not realize that, and a lot of people may say, "Well, I got a bad." They won't say I got a bad piece of meat. They're going to say that grill ruined my Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
And all meat's not created equal. I've had bad cuts of meat. What's really been the most painful thing for me is some of these big briskets that I've bought that were no good.
Yeah. I've had that.
I
had that one brisket that you could have beat somebody to death with.
It's hard when you put 18 hours into a cook and then you don't have anything edible to show for it at the end. But the grill,
I will tell you, John, on my brisket cooks now, I've seen more consistent results since I've started taking them off at 195 and putting them in a holding at 150 for 6+ hours. I have gotten far better results, consistent results.
I've seen better results since I quit cooking briskets.
I can't argue with you on that.
All my briskets are good now because I don't cook them anymore.
I got one more to cook, and that's it.
It's not that I don't like brisket, but brisket has become my turkey of the barbecue world. It don't matter. It takes a lot of work to make a great brisket. It does. It's just not it. That piece of meat, that's one of the most difficult pieces of meat to cook well. And once you learn how to do it, you realize that it's a lot of work. And in the end, it's still just brisket. And out of all the other barbecue meats that are out there, brisket's probably my least favorite one.
Well, the majority of my brisket meat goes for cottage or shepherd pie, John.
Well,
I mean, that's what the majority of mine goes to for.
The next brisket that I buy is going to be ground into hamburger. I'm going to try that. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to.
I take the point, and I eat the point, and the flat pretty much.
Or maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll take the point and cook the point, and then turn the flat into hamburger. Well, I need the fat from the point though to make good hamburger. The flat's not lean enough. The flat's too lean to make hamburger out of it.
Yeah, you'd have to
I learned
if
that
you're
the
gonna
hard
cook the
way
point by
too.
itself, you're gonna have to get some beef fat to
Yeah.
finish off the hamburger, which you
So
can do. It's no biggie.
well, the thing that I've discovered is what I did wrong is I just didn't have enough fat in it. And
Yep.
a friend of mine says take your whole brisket, your whole packer, and just lightly trim the fat. If there's any gray fat on it,
Yep.
trim the gray fat off and leave the rest of that fat in there.
Keep
We're
the
going to
hard
do a
fat on.
double.
Anything that's
Yep.
the gray and that kind of I don't want to use the word slimy, but it's
Yep.
the gooey type fat,
Well,
I guess, for lack of a better word.
yep.
Take that off. Everything else leave on.
Yeah, he told me to do a double grind. He said,
Yeah, always
got a
double grind.
coarse die and a finer die. So I'm going to run the first run through on the coarse die. And once I have that, I'm going to mix it all up where my fat's evenly distributed.
Yep.
And then I'm going to run it back through on the fine die to turn it into hamburger. And
Well, what a
see
lot
how
of
that
people do,
goes.
John, is they take and they trim all the fat off and they weigh the fat, weigh the brisket, and see if they have 20% fat,
Yeah.
for the weight of the brisket. If they don't, then they get some more fat so that you can get a nice 80-20 mixture in.
Well, you can't really account for the intramuscular fat in that, though.
No, but you're going to be close enough. I
It's
mean,
close.
if you get 17 to 20%, you're close enough to good stuff.
Right. Well, we'll see. But that the next brisket I buy is going to be ground into hamburger, and I'll probably post about that, or I might do something with that on here on the live stream when I get ready, because that'll be a workout for my grinder.
Yeah, I've decided I got to get a grinder. I can't not find my meat grinder for the KitchenAid. I had it's part of the company. So
this meat grinder that I bought, when I bought this, I've got one of these LEM Big Bites, which is a pretty good grinder, but it's the smallest one in the series. And after having had this one for a while, I'm wishing I had bought the next size up. And the only reason for that being, I've only choked that thing down once. And that was when I tried to grind a little bit of dry aged chuck. It didn't like that.
No.
The next size up's got a bigger motor on it, and I was mixing dry aged chuck with unaged chuck. That made some really good hamburger.
I bet it did. I bet it did.
It was fantastic. I only dry aged the chuck for like 17 days, and then I cut it and mixed it with unaged chuck, and it made really good hamburger meat. Some of the best I've ever had.
Well, I want to get in to start making sausages. I want to make bratwurst and breakfast link sausages and whatnot.
Right.
So,
well, I was gonna get into that too, and I just never made it happen. I bought a sausage stuffer, and it sat in my basement here for about 4 or 5 years, and I never took it out of the box. And I just decided that I didn't have the time or the will to mess with it, so I gave the sausage stuffer to a friend. And
well, didn't your grinder come with a sausage tube for it?
It did, but I've never used it either.
It works just as fine as any sausage stuffer does.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll play with that, but I just don't know. I like sausage, but one of the things, there's a lot of ways you can make sausages that aren't stuffed. There's a lot of ways
sausage patties.
Do sausage, and you can make links that aren't stuffed also, but they're not like your typical link. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll look into that. So anyway, guys, we're at our hour mark. I got to wrap up here because I'm tired. I've had a long day, and so next week, Jeff and I'll be back, and we'll be bringing you some ribs that are done with that Blues Hog barbecue sauce and that Simply Marvelous cherry rub. And
I think that's going to be great on pork.
Both of those are available on Amazon. And like I said, the Blues Hog sauces, I've seen them at Walmart. So
yeah, they've got them at Walmart. They've got them at Academy Sports. Publix even has Blue Hog.
And the one that I have is the original one. It's not
Yeah.
not one of the flavored ones. So that's the one I'm going to cook with. And I'm not going to modify the sauce or the rub in any way. I'm going to use them as packaged. And I'm going to cook. I'm going to go back and cook ribs probably by the method that I learned initially. And in fact, Jeff, I might just do a 3-2-1 rib, and I might just do St. Louis ribs this time. We'll see. I'll make up my mind on that this week.
I'm doing baby backs only because I just picked those up at Costco, those extra meaty
Yeah.
ones, and
if I can
that's gonna
find
be
a
good.
big fat rack of baby backs at Sam's or at Walmart, I'll do that, because those baby backs, those 5-pound racks of baby backs are big enough to do the 3-2-1 method on.
Yeah.
They can go for 6 hours without any problem, and I'll cook them on the Huntsman as well, and I will go back and cook them more like they might have been cooked competition style. You know, I'll put I'll get some parquet butter, you know, and I'll make them look nice. I'll get some squeezed butter. So
It's the only thing
anyway,
that stuff is good for.
yeah. Well, I don't know. That's a whole different argument right there. So,
Yeah.
guys, I appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.